David Ike, when he's talking about this, he talks about artificial intelligence and how 5G is the next step towards us all being plugged in to this artificial intelligence by 2030, and that we're all going to become the BORG from Star Trek. The problem is
probably not wrong. We pretty much are almost there. It's just our smartphones aren't integrated into our bodies yet. But you pretty much are already a cyborg because you're using the amount we use our smartphones as a link to communicate with the rest of the world. There's
actually an argument. I saw scientists argue say that we're actually now evolutionary wise in the last 10 years have leapt forward massively because we're all far more intelligent than we were. Because any question you ever have the answer to, you can ask your phone and know instantly. So as an extension of your body, we're really clever now. So, which is an interesting way of looking at it.
And then you've got Elon Musk working on a high speed interface between the human brain and
electronics,
and electronic technology. And then give it 10 years, we could pretty much be there.
He believes, he believes in 10 years. This number of 2030 keeps coming up. And David Ike, he goes on and on about that a lot, but it is actually quite scary that it does always seem to be within 10 years. But I think scientists and engineers think in this 10-year thing, because we've been talking about cold fusion energy and it's always 10 years away. And it's been 10 years away for the last 30 years. But going back to the Elon Musk thing, though, he's creating these soft wire interfaces, which are really delicate but far more effective.
Yeah.
And the official reason is to work with people with disabilities so that they can be interface brain to say if you had a false arm, you could have a robotic arm, interface it directly into your brain, it would work. Or you could interface with your electronics, you could interface with things. The military have been working on this for years. They've been trying to do like targeting systems that interface with the brain using like PET scanners and things. And they work to a degree.
I think they do work. They've got some of these systems, haven't they, already? I think,
We've seen people playing Pong with just their minds, 10, 15 years ago. So it's a bit scary on where the technology could be. But the problem is, if they designed it just for that, it's not going to be used just for that, though, is it? It's going to go further than that. Technology is going to interface with us over the next 20 years. And some people are not going to like that. Some people are going to love it because it'll make your life so much easier.
Yeah.
But then how do you stop the AI, which we know again is being developed, from taking over? How are you going to know if your thoughts are you or the AI? Or the machine you're plugging yourself into?
Well, we're heading towards Starnet probably, aren't we, to be quite honest?
Skynet.
Skynet seems like it's where we're headed, to be quite honest. It's scary when you actually think that Terminator might not be far from the real world in the next 10, 20 years. And then you look at some of the conversations between there's various artificial intelligence robots that they've created.
Boston Dynamics is leading the way on some of these robotic systems, and they look a lot like things from Terminator.
They very much do, yes. But also, just when two of these artificial humans get together and they start conversing between two AI robots, and they start talking about how they're going to control the world, and
that has popped up once or twice, apparently.
It pops up nearly whenever they get two AI robots chatting and leave them to it. It always ends up going down that line almost.
Well, that's that was the storyline of The Matrix, wasn't it? Is that the robots just did it as they weren't evil; it was logic. Humanity was destroying the planet, so we had to destroy humanity to survive. And that was basically the logic. And I was like, that kind of makes sense. We are destroying the planet, so. But so one of the things David Ike does talk about, which actually did actually scare me a little bit when he was talking about how 5G could be used as like brain control. But it made me think about EM radiation and electromagnetic fields do affect human mood. We already know that. I've told you before about how it ruined ghost stories for me because I saw this study. And it was a bloke who basically had this metal ball, and people could sit in it because I can affect the magnetic field in this chamber, and I can make people think like that they're being watched. I can make people think there's somebody in there with them, and I can do all this stuff by affecting the frequencies, and it always worked because the magnetic field affects your brain and make it thinking if you do it the right way, It can affect your mood. It can affect everything.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I'm thinking 5G could be used for that, and that would be scientifically reasonable. You can't do it with 4G on big masts because you can't fine tune the frequency.
No.
You could do it with 5G, and that's a little scary.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah.
And that is, like, scientifically, that's perfectly reasonable. And let's be honest, if our government had that technology, you don't think they'd be tempted to use it?
Oh, of course they would.
You could placate an entire population. You could make us scared. We wouldn't know why. And then content. And then you throw that in with mass media and other psychological methods of control, and all of a sudden you've got a population that does exactly what it's told to do.
Yeah, exactly. Well, combining that with all of the entertainment mediums to keep you distracted from the real news and what's going on in the world as well, and a little dulcet tone. No, little dulcet tone over the 5G that just keeps you content.
Keeps you happy, keeps you stop arguing. Yeah. Makes you want to go to work. If that was a way to but again, this is a point, isn't it, about how the coronavirus 5G connection is distracting us from the real risks of 5G.
Yes, completely.
And now, because of this connection of 5G and corona, the bulk of the population isn't going to believe any other. There's going to be another crackpot conspiracy theory, when actually there are real risks that we need to talk about, and the bulk of the population isn't going to care. Well, the other thing is, I mean, the amount of YouTube videos you're seeing that are doctors and things like this with their expert opinion talking about things that don't really. A lot of the one that goes around Facebook a lot at the moment is they were talking about how they didn't really believe the lockdown was effective. That keeps getting pulled, but that's doctors. They are genuinely,
Yeah. Oh, I saw one of those. Yeah, no, and I actually tend to agree with it. It was an immunology specialist that was saying that lockdown and social distancing, if you do it for too long, all you're going to do, and combine that with all of the cleaning that everybody's doing, where they're using alcohol-based hand sanitizer all the time to wash their hands, wipe down all their surfaces in their house. When they're going out, you're being, extra careful. You're just going to actually lower your immune system and its ability to protect you by not continually introducing it to new variations of viruses and bacteria that have mutated. And then when we come out of the end of the lockdown, we're all then going to be much more susceptible to other diseases and viruses. And therefore, there's then going to be another spike in hospital admissions because of the increased susceptibility due to the decreased immune systems.
It'll be interesting to see what flu does next season. What sort of numbers we get from flu deaths next year.
The science behind it kind of actually is reasonable when you actually think about it.
Yeah.